tried to push towards further independence, then we wouldn't have to really worry about that factor.
That's true. So I think the answer to that is yes and no. Certainly there is price gouging going on. Certainly there might or might not be supply chain issues. I think we've just delved into the realm of just having a chat here now. So and I'm fine with that because we're on topic and we're talking about what we need to be talking about. I'm not entirely sold on the supply chain issue problem, that's actually a problem.
I think it's more it's not organized.
I think that's more the case. Yeah. So, isolationists are not, wanting political insulation is not the same as isolation. We're picking back up on slide 15. Wealthy nations can protect themselves better, preserve their independence better. The founders endorsed the idea of trading with anyone who wanted to trade with us on fair terms. Let's do it.
How much money does Morocco have, like, ballpark, do you know? Because I know, like, they're like our oldest trading partner. I wasn't sure because we've had such a good relationship with them. We have meetings with them multiple times a year. If we could borrow, you know what I mean? Because we're so friendly with them, borrow from them, pay them off in time to pay off some of our debts to other more hostile countries.
Oh, yeah, we undoubtedly we're on excellent terms with the King of Morocco. Yeah. Do I know how much money they have? I do not have that tidbit of trivia handy.
I think it's really funny.
If I knew how much. What?
I'm sorry, I'm not trying to.
No.
Before we move on, I just want to ask, what caused our debt to go down from 1960?
Well, Morocco, yeah.
So it'd be a drop in the bucket.
Yeah, that's really a drop in the bucket of.
Yeah, that's not
We
shit.
took all the money.
Now I'm betting that the king and the royal family have like
Yeah.
way more than that.
It's about their ties with Dubai, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
through like a three-way trade kind of
Yeah.
deal.
It's in a lot of countries' interest, China included, not to call on their debt with us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because our economies, especially with China, are so intertwined.
Yeah.
It would do
We'd lose
as much damage to them as it would to us if they said, okay, U.S., pay up. Yeah, so yeah, this is a drop in the bucket compared to what we've got. Now, what did you ask me again, Your Royal Highness?
I said, what happened that caused our debt to go down from 1960 to 1980?
Just the debt to GDP ratio.
where GDP went
Yeah.
up.
Building more factories.
The GDP went up. Again, my libertarian card's going to be yanked over the answer that I'm going to give you, just in my opinion.
Okay.
I'm not saying this is a fact.
Okay.
Reagan's economic policies.
Okay.
We had good policies through the entire 1980s that really helped the economy and strengthened it, and the debt did go down.
Just gonna have some old man come in and go.
Do you think
Yeah.
do you think we would ever do something like that again?
Sure, I don't see why we couldn't.
So why won't?
Well, because the right old man hasn't run for president yet. If you know of an old man with good economic policies, you tell him to run for president. You don't know anybody like that? All right. All right, slide 16. Foreign policy issues, we believed the founders, that is, I keep saying we, but the founders of the country believed in westward expansion. The term for that was manifest destiny. Right? Expansion was necessary to secure our rights and our independence. And this is all peaceful and well and good when we do it through peaceful acquisition of territory, like when we bought the Louisiana Territory from Napoleon, which was the cheapest land acquisition, I think, in the history of Earth. I think we paid, about a nickel per mile or something like that. It was some outrageously low sum.
Can't relate.
Well, the Louisiana Purchase is like a good third of the country today. Did the U.S. pay for Louisiana Purchase? Yeah, 15 million. So if you divide 828,000 by 15 million, yeah, do it. Yeah.
18.11.
Well, it's still really cheap, no matter what way you slice it. But it's not so good, this land acquisition, when we talk about territories we take by force, like our war with Mexico. Mexico had to cede territory to us because of that. So these new territories, when they became states, there are certain requirements for becoming a state they had to meet. They had to be admitted on equal terms. We couldn't have the 13 original states plus, all these lesser territories that didn't have as much of a say in the national government. That wasn't what we were about, or shouldn't have been what we were about.
Oh my God.
Sorry. So we needed to expand for national security purposes. We had to secure Louisiana from France in order to secure the Mississippi River. So there were some problems with our boats on the Mississippi River being harried by foreign countries. So we owned, essentially, the land on either side of the Mississippi River. Hence, we had rights and could control who came up and down the Mississippi. Most of America was underpopulated after we bought that territory. We needed settlers, but we needed to guard against others stepping into our affairs. We'd have fair warning if anybody was, in fact, coming. And this really should be how we conduct foreign policy. John Quincy Adams said in his July 4th address in 1821, "But she goes not abroad in search of monsters to destroy. She is the well-wisher to the freedom and independence of all. She is a champion and vindicator only of her own." So we should set a good example at home. We should protect our independence. And that's the best example that we could set for the rest of the world. It's kind of showing the rest of the world what a good country, how a good country is run, what a good country looks like. It really is. I mean, we don't need to go over there and at the point of the gun tell other people how to live. That has never worked once. It's unjust to rule others without their consent. It doesn't work well. Then we come to slavery. This talk is all well and good, but we still had people in bondage who were slaves. So how does America remain credible? How does America say it's not okay to rule others without their consent when we were, in fact, ourselves within our own borders ruling a bunch of other people without their consent? at the point of a gun, at the point of a whip, at the point of, yeah. And that was the big question that was only resolved through the Civil War. We had the Spanish-American War, 1898. There was a very progressive view of justice then, and a very progressive view of what the president could do domestically, so we came to a different conclusion of what the government should do abroad. We came up with this idea of progressive imperialism. It was our job as the United States of America to go raise people up from their lowly lives, like it was any of our business to do that in the first place. But we're still gonna do it. We still do it. And are we ever gonna stop? I don't know that we ever will. But none of this was really connected to the American national interest. And this whole thing did away with the limited government model. That threw that out the window. We went to the Philippines, which we owned for a bit. And we wanted to raise these people up, these poor Filipinos, and teach them how to live. And, because the theory was, the more people that are like us, the less there is of a chance of war. If everybody's alike, why would we fight? It's not a great idea, really, because what if the people don't want to be like us? Isn't that cause for a quarrel in and of itself? It is, yeah. But that was Theodore Roosevelt, that was William Howard Taft. But we wanted to get these people up and make them Anglo-Saxon-like. And these people in the Philippines and in other territories and other places on earth, and it wasn't just us, we're just talking about us because this is an American national government class, were being ruled without their consent. Roosevelt, Teddy, not his cousin Franklin, says fundamentally the cause of expansion is the cause of peace. No. No.
Somewhat in my opinion.
Sure.
Just based on military expansion for protection. Although I'm kind of iffy on it. I see both sides of it, but you look in South Korea and Japan and stuff like that. It was our military stations to provide peace either for that land or for other lands based on that land's actions.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. That's certainly a thought.
Force our way of life on them.
No, that never works. No. Cadence, no. So progressive statesmen like Taft and Theodore Roosevelt thought that this was a price worth paying. So more people like us reduces the likelihood that we're going to ever be at war. And progressives later kept to this idea of uplift. They turned to an idea, though, of international progressivism, which we will talk about on Thursday when Kaylee reminds me to do the last slide, slide 20. And then we'll move on to Congress.